And how was the weather in Korea today? It's quite cloudy in Philadelphia.
It's kind of gloomy and not
Hmm.
that bright, but it's not that hot.
Okay, so kind of similar weather, it sounds like. I think it's always so amazing how Korea and Philadelphia can have such similar weather. Yeah. I had a pretty good day yesterday. I went out, I went to Chinatown. I bought this pretty cute mask, I think. What animal do you think this is supposed to be?
Dragon? Oh, butterfly?
I was thinking butterfly, but I think that's an interesting way to read it. Okay. Speaking of dragons, I had you looking at an article about, sea monsters or real sea monsters, right?
Yes.
And I think it's a pretty interesting topic because it's amazing how real animals can look so fantastic and sort of magical.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, did you enjoy the reading?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Okay, good. Have you ever thought about this before? Have you ever been in a boat and felt worried about sea monsters as a kid? I don't think I was so scared of them.
Sometimes once I went to a deep sea, kind of in the center of the seas by a boat,
Yeah.
the sea was kind of dark and black.
Yeah, I think it's so true. When the sea has that dark gray black color, you feel like there's so much mystery in
Yes.
there, right? Yeah. So I think, especially after reading this article, I'm starting to think maybe there are kind of sea monsters. Maybe we're right to be afraid when we see that dark, empty sea.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to share the screen to show the article. And then I think I want to talk about some of the questions that I mentioned in
Okay.
class before. Okay, great. So how was the vocabulary here? What did you think?
Um, there were almost okay, but a few were hard.
A few were difficult. Okay, well, we'll certainly talk about some of the most difficult ones together.
Okay.
So hopefully, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we see the pictures of the real sea monsters, and we're looking at 4 different animals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So just before we get into the first questions, I'd like to get your opinion. Did you think any of these were really scary?
Um, they looked kind of scary, but when I read the article and when I knew what they eat and stuff, like
Right.
it, it kind of lowered my tensions, so
Mm-hmm.
it was
Right.
less scarier than I thought.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Yeah, most of these animals that we see here wouldn't want to eat humans. I think
Yes.
maybe there's one exception. Can you guess which of these animals could probably eat a human?
Um,
I think there's really only one, maybe 2.
uh, Squid?
Yeah, the giant squid is big enough. I think it does eat meat,
Yes.
usually like dolphins. I mean, some people think maybe some are big enough to even kill whales. But I thought it was interesting because this was one of the least scary ones to me, but probably the most dangerous to humans.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point. Once we know more about these animals, maybe not so scary. Okay, cool. So one question I had, and I think this is interesting, is how much of the ocean have humans not seen? How much is unexplored?
95%.
Yeah, 95%. Was that surprising to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Did it seem like maybe an exaggeration?
Um, Maybe, but people know a lot about the sea, and I knew a lot about the sea, but only 5% we know, it was kind of new to me.
Right. So do you think that most of the sea we know is sort of the shallow sea? Or, yeah, I guess I'm asking, what part of the ocean have we not seen very much of?
The seas that are very, very deep under the
Yeah,
water.
the very deep, dark seas. It's really hard for us to get down there.
Yes.
Yeah. So at this time, our science hasn't allowed us to see a lot of the sea. And I think this is so interesting to me because it makes me think that there are probably some animals we don't know about. Do you agree with that?
Maybe there are a lot.
Yeah, I think that probably there are at least some that
Yes.
we've never seen and know nothing about. I think it's cool to realize there's so much that's unexplored. Yeah. Okay, great. Describe the giant oarfish. What magical monster may it look like? One of my students said, though, that he thought it looked kind of like a sea serpent or a sea dragon.
Because of those tentacles on their heads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if we would call those tentacles or antenna. I think that's a good word. Maybe antenna just because tentacles usually have some movement like an arm.
Yes.
But I think a good idea to describe it. And about how long can they get?
25 feet.
Yeah, that's pretty big. So we can see that in this picture here with the men holding it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite large. So this is an ancient fish, but not dangerous to humans, right? Yeah, okay. The giant oarfish. Nice. All right. Then we moved on, right, to the
Yes.
basking shark.
Yes.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't think
frill-
the
Frill
Yeah.
shark.
Okay, yeah. Was that the next one that you found interesting?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was the scariest one. What did you think?
It looked kind of disgusting because of the skin on them.
Right. Yeah, their skin, their outer appearance is not good.
Yes.
It's a type of shark, right?
Yes.
But it looks a little different from most sharks, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. What's sort of different or kind of scary about the way that it looks?
Their teeth is like a needle, and
Uh-huh. It's the big head, the strange kind of triangular shape
Yes.
of the head. And certainly, I totally agree with you. The teeth are quite frightening looking. What is one of the main things that it eats?
those planktons.
Oh, that's actually the basking shark. But you're correct for this type of shark. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's next. This one.
Oh,
Right?
soft body squid.
Yeah, it enjoys eating soft-bodied squid, which comes up later. And squid come in all kind of sizes.
Yes.
So probably it could not take on a giant squid. Yeah. Okay, cool. Nicely covered. So describe the basking shark. So that was the next shark. This one didn't seem so scary to me, but one of my other students said it was the scariest of all. So what did you think about it? How is it sort of different?
Like its mouth, inside of the mouth, you can see the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that scary, but it looks kind of different and weird.
Right. Yeah. The basking shark does eat plankton, though. You're absolutely correct about that. And what is plankton?
Those small living things in the water that
You're-
almost every fish eats.
Right. You're exactly right. It's a really small organism. And I think this is something so interesting to me about big ocean animals, that they often eat the smallest things, right? Another example being whales. The really biggest whales eat very small organisms. So I think these are pretty cool, and I also think it's so interesting that you can see their bones inside. Which brings us to the last of the real ocean monsters, the giant squid.
Yes.
Okay. So the giant squid, I think, is interesting because it doesn't have any bones. Did you see the word I included for this kind of animal?
No.
That's okay. Let's talk about it. I think it is a good time for us to turn to the vocabulary.
Okay.
A giant squid is what we call an invertebrate. So, can you guess from this topic, what is an invertebrate?
Animals that don't have bones.
Yeah, animals without bones. Are we invertebrates?
No.
Certainly not, no. Can you think of another example of an invertebrate?
Bugs.
Yeah, a lot of bugs have sort of shells rather than bones. Yeah, that's exactly right. Most bugs. So, what about any other sea creatures?
Shrimps.
Shrimp, you're right. Yeah, shrimp have shells as well. Lobsters. And I think the easiest one for me to imagine is the jellyfish.
Yes.
Yeah. Jellyfish, I think, are pretty scary, at least for me. Are you scared of jellyfish?
They look really cute, but
Right, yeah. It's a weird... Mhm.
I often find people get stinged by those and have scars.
Yeah, it's so true. I think in a lot of ways, jellyfish could be thought of as more dangerous than any of these real sea monsters. There are some jellyfish who can kill you with a single sting. Yeah. I don't know if you have those around Korea. Do you have dangerous jellyfish in Korean waters?
I know that they flow from China,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we have a few in Korea.
Okay, so it can be a little dangerous in swimming in Korean oceans because of jellyfish? Oh, all right, yeah. I remember when I was young, we would go to Maine, and there was this beach that was just full of jellyfish. And when I was little, I loved it because I would play with the jellyfish and poke them. But then as I got older, it was sort of scary to me. Yeah. Have you ever had experience like that where there are many, many jellyfish on the beach and you're not sure why?
I saw a few laying on the beach, and maybe they float from another country and died, probably.
Right. Yeah, I think usually when we find them on the beach, it's because they were already dead.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good point. So, one of the words I brought up here that you may have already known is unexplored. And I think we've just learned that the sea, or the deep sea, is so unexplored, right? But I think there are other things that people think of as unexplored. What's another place that humans really would like to explore? Think up.
Sky?
Yeah, the sky or space.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I think some people have different answers for this. If you were able to explore, someone was going to give you a ship, and you could go into the deepest parts of the ocean and see all the life there, or you could visit the different planets in our solar system. Which would you be more interested in exploring?
Exploring the solar system.
Okay, you'd like to explore the solar system. Any place in particular? It's okay if you haven't thought of it.
Black holes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I hope there's none of those in our solar system because we could be in trouble. But I think you're so right. What an interesting topic to discuss, black holes. Yeah. I also find space interesting. I think if I was given this choice, though, I might choose deep sea because I think I have more of a chance of seeing new life. Right? I'm not so sure there is life in the solar system. What do you think about that?
Like people think about those UFOs and
Yeah.
what do you call them living in the like ET and stuff?
Right. You're thinking about aliens?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I would love to meet an alien, but I'm not sure there are any in our solar system, like in our close neighborhood of planets.
So
Yeah.
when I have the chance to visit the solar system, maybe I'm hoping to see one.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great reason to choose space. Yeah. Good answer, I think. So I want to talk about some of these other vocabulary words because I think I threw quite a few at you here. One of them is ancestors. Was that new?
No.
Okay, good. So can you tell me something about your Korean ancestors? Maybe something they did?
My ancestors didn't do anything special, but in Korea there's kind of a map sort of thing about their first name.
Oh, cool. So you can look up your kind of family name is the first name in Korea, right? And through that you can learn about your ancestors?
Yes.
Very cool. We don't have anything like that in the United States. But people are also really interested in learning this stuff. It's just harder to do here, I think. Cool. Good. And lurking. I kind of like that word. Did you know that one? Lurking.
No.
Okay. Lurking means hiding. I think this was used to describe one of the real sea monsters' hunting style. So, lurking is sort of a hiding in the darkness kind of word. Could you make a sentence with lurking?
The hunters were lurking for a giant animal that was living in the jungle.
Good. I think in this case, though, you're saying the hunters were hiding for.
Yes.
I like lurking's placement, but I think we might want to change it around a little bit. Say the hunters were lurking, waiting for. Right? They're hiding so that they could wait for their prey, the animal they wanted to kill. Yeah. Okay, good. I think it seems like you understand the use of it. And then we had colossal. I think a fun word for something that's quite large. Can you think of anything you could describe as colossal?
Mammoths. Mammoth.
Mammoths. You could say mammoths were colossal mammals. Right?
Yes.
You would want to add mammals because big, really big compared to other animals, right? But a mammoth is not colossal compared to a skyscraper, right? So yeah, he's a colossal mammal. Nice. Another one, I'm not going to do quite all of these, but what about decompose? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay, let me give you an example from the reading that we did. They think part of the reason people thought there were monsters is because when these animals' bodies decompose on land, they begin to look very strange and scary. Decompose is sort of like break down or rot.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could use this to describe animals or fruit or plants as well. One of my favorite parts of fall is the smell of the decomposing leaves. Do you like that smell?
No.
Yeah. I don't like that at all. Could you try a sentence with that one?
I put my food inside the refrigerator to eat it later, but when I saw it, it was already decomposed.
Wow, okay, perfect sentence. usually this happens a lot slower in the refrigerator. So
Yes.
nice plan. Too bad it didn't work out. Yeah. And okay, I think the last one I want to go over, because we already covered invertebrate, is primitive. Primitive is like an old or ancient style. And the animal that they described as primitive was the frilled shark. They said that the frilled shark was like a living fossil. You know what a fossil is, right?
Yes.
So what can you guess a living fossil is? And how does it relate to this word primitive?
It has lived for a very long time.
Exactly, yeah. It's a primitive style of animal because it comes from far back in time. And it's a living fossil, meaning that we're finding this animal as a fossil, but we're also finding it alive. And I think this is an interesting thing about a couple animals that we live around. Sharks have not changed very much, nor have crocodiles.
Yes.
Why do you think that some animals have been able to live for so long without changing, when humans have changed so much over time?
Maybe they have a good skill on adapting to new environments.
Yeah, beautifully said. They have a great skill for adapting. You know, their design is finished, really. It's so great. It adapts so well to changes that they haven't actually needed to change their bodies. You know, their bodies are very well designed for whatever Earth throws in their way. Yeah. So I think it's interesting to consider that though we think we're so much smarter and better than animals like sharks or crocodiles, their design may be superior to ours. Yeah. So those are both animals I'm not particularly fond of, but I think I have to admire that about them at least. Yeah. So I think at the end of this, one idea I want to come back to is the idea of monsters or magical things like that. Some of my students, even middle school students, really feel like there are aliens, there are monsters out there. And I agree with aliens, but I'm thinking maybe monsters are just misunderstood animals. What do you think?
Since they're big and their looks are not that good, maybe they're called just monsters, but they don't harm people and they don't do bad things. So I think they're misunderstood, as you said.
Okay, I liked your answer, and I think it really talks a little bit about language, right? When we call something a monster, we make it a lot worse than it is. And if we think of all these monsters as maybe just misunderstood species or specimens of a kind of animal, I think they become a lot less scary, right? As we learn what they eat, what they, really are like, they become a lot less scary to us. That said, I had some serious fears as a child about monsters. Did you have any fear about monsters when you were young?
Yes, like when I was sleeping, it was dark, and inside the closet there was a monster, and my imagination was going crazy.
Exactly. Okay, beautifully said again. The same thing happened to me, and I think all over the world. Children have great imaginations, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, right? A lot of children are scared of the dark. Were you?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one student right now who's having real problems with it. She always wants to sleep with her mom because she's so scared of the dark. When did you stop feeling scared? Can you remember?
Like when my other friends started to sleep alone. I think it was about elementary school.
Okay, so you sort of started wanting to sleep alone because other kids were doing it.
Yes.
And then your fear kind of went away because you wanted to be alone.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, I'm going to try to use that to give some advice to my young student who's feeling scared. Yeah. All right. I think you did so beautifully today. Thank you so much for coming to class and being really quite prepared from the reading. I really enjoyed our class time today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to give you a thinking homework. I want to talk more about black holes.
Okay.
So can you tell me, why do you find black holes interesting? And do you think that black holes could be related to time or space travel? Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll write that down for you, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Okay? Thanks so much for coming, Youjin. You did very well. All right.
Bye.